Time, not space. No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Hello and welcome to I Don't Know What You're Talking About with Erin and Garrett, a podcast between a married couple that talks about what's not in the center of their Venn diagrams. Do we need to add to that?
I like it. I think it's fully clear. Everyone will know exactly what you're talking about.
I think that
no more explanation.
We should definitely be workshopping and trying out different intros as we go. We'll get it dialed. It'll get there.
Or that could be our thing. We just continue to change the intro every episode for the entire
That's a great branding
future
approach.
Of this podcast.
You think everybody knows Venn diagrams? Are there any people that are like, what is that?
No, it's a universal language.
Also, I'm giving up my goal of educating everyone on the different relationships of Venn diagrams and just leaning into it's two overlapping circles with a little bit in the middle.
Yeah. Calm down.
How much overlap do you think is, like, if you were to picture our two circles, like, would they be like almost like
I need more information because are we talking about like our like interests? Are we talking about our daily schedules? Are we talking about our time? Are we talking about some complex combination of all of those that make up our lives?
I think the complex one, our schedules, I don't even know what that would mean.
I'm saying if it was
like where we're physically in the same space?
If we're talking about like our daily rhythms and what we do all day, then our Venn diagrams would have a lot of overlap because we live together and we spend time together and we're cook dinner together.
Yeah, and during the summer, I mean, if we're just talking about physical space, like they're damn near overlapping, which I love.
So, it depends on what we're asked, what the question is about our Venn diagrams.
I'm going to leave it up to you, your interpretation. How much overlap is there in the middle? How much little slivers of moons are on the outside?
I think they're bigger than slivers of moons. If we're adding all of those complexities together, then there's some balance in the middle and it's half overlapping and half not.
Half. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you think like two people with a strong marriage that should have like a lot in the middle or like just very little in the middle?
Yeah, I think having a lot overlapping would not indicate a strong marriage.
And so you think 50% is probably the perfect number?
Yeah.
All right, we're doing well. I guess I could have just asked you how was our marriage?
Can I tell you what I'm obsessed with this week?
Please. Wait, is this your topic?
No.
Oh.
Fried dates.
Fridays?
Fridays. Fried dates.
I also love like TGIF.
I want to recommend them here, that you take fresh dates and you fry them in olive oil and then put salt on them and eat them on vanilla ice cream.
What kind of heat setting would you use on those dates?
Very low. They caramelize really quickly, like burn and caramelize faster than anything you can imagine.
Nice.
That's my wreck of the week.
If we're doing food wrecks, my food wreck of the week is my, I think I picked a summer salad for summer 2024, which is a crushed cucumber, Persian cucumber, miso dressing with like rice vinegar and poppy seeds and tons of herbs, like a cold salad like that.
And he smashes the cucumbers and like gets kind of the liquid out of them, and it's really good. It's
you got it.
Boz thing.
Yeah, shout out to Molly. We talked about her on the pilot episode, first episode, and it's really refreshing and fun. And I just love using like a shit ton of miso in a dressing. Mm-hmm. It's so salty and umami-ish.
Yeah, the miso with the poppy seeds, good combo.
Do you think Molly's going to do some sort of play on the fact that she's a mom and do like an umami like cookbook?
Mommy Boz?
No, I was just thinking that working the words umami into her next cookbook or something.
Ooh, Mommy Boz. That's the name.
I am calling an audible that I think she's going to put out a kid cookbook, like kid lunches and things like that.
Okay, but I think we should tweet her about the mommy buzz.
Yeah, we're onto something. How can we make money off of it before we just say it to her? We just,
tell her a really smart idea if she pays us.
but you can't know it yet. Just trust us. Give us money, and like you're gonna like it.
Oh wait, maybe we should trademark that name and then tell her about it.
I'll get at or umami buzz or
No, like actually buy the trademark, or you like copyright it.
the words.
Yeah,
Oh. Can you copyright like 3 words?
you can. I think this is what some entrepreneurs do. They think of some smart idea and then they buy the name of it, and then they make money when a company wants to make the thing and call it that. That's what I
Imagine if
think.
you could go back in time to when the internet first got created by Al Gore. Thank you. Shout out Al. And just buy up every domain name you can think of, like DallasCowboys.com, Tylenol.com, like, and then you just have everything, and they have to all buy it from you.
You'd be like the internet salesman.
You're right. It would be a lot of work.
Yeah, sounds like
Maybe not the best of like, if you have a time machine, how can I make Clearly, it would be to buy a sports almanac, travel back in time, and then or forward in time, no, back in time, and then make bets on certain sporting events.
What else? What else is going on this week?
I went to the pool today with our daughter as we're gearing up for a big vacation to northern Wisconsin to go swimming in a
trip.
lake. What'd you say?
I said, yeah, lake trip.
Yeah. So we're trying to sharpen up those swimming skills. She was doing great at swimming and swimming classes and things, but then like COVID hit, and yeah, apparently it's like a language. If you don't use it, you lose it.
I've been thinking about doing language classes like Babbel or whatever that app is.
What language?
Probably Italian because of our plan to go to Italy, but maybe Spanish and Italian at the same time because I just want to strengthen my Spanish skills in general. But so Italian for more of like our vacation fun, and then Spanish for life.
I would argue
Skills.
it'd be pretty easy to sharpen both of them at the same time.
Yeah, I think I want to do both.
As someone who took 8 years of French and then started learning Spanish, realized that it was very easy to learn. Well, not easy, but it was just like I picked up Spanish quickly.
Yeah.
But then I forgot all the French. Like I can still understand French when it's spoken, but if I try to speak it, it's total Spanish.
Yeah, but I think you're right. It does make it easier once you're used to learning a similar language.
Right.
All of the rules, structures.
Mm-hmm. Well, Erin, we've come here tonight to the dining room table to inform each other on 2 topics where the other person might not know some things about those topics. I feel like on the last episode, we didn't do a rock, paper, scissors to decide who goes first, or to be the decider of who goes first, who doesn't.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of fun.
Okay.
Should we go back to it?
Sure.
Okay, so we're going boom, boom, shoot, best 2 out of 3?
Yes.
All right. Oh, Erin crushes my scissors with her rock. Oh, she snaps my paper with her scissors. Cuts.
Snaps.
She snaps that paper. So you won straight up.
Okay, then I'm going to go first.
All right.
And I'm trying to chill out with picking these topics because I think I'm putting too much pressure on myself and getting nervous. And it's supposed to just be about telling each other about random things we hear about or know about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think just trying to take the, like, what was something interesting I know or learning about. And I read this article a few months ago that I'm a bit obsessed with because it was shocking in the Washington Post. And so I wanted to talk about that. And I don't think we talked about it really. So I thought it'd be a good topic here.
Well, first of all, I think you've got enough pressure on your life already. So please ease it up with the podcast pressure.
Thanks.
Second of all, anything that gets me off the hook of doing intensive research, I'm all for. So if we can keep it cash, all for it.
So the article is called "The Children Who Remember Their Past Lives." And
Psychic children?
psychic children, is that what you said?
It's more of a question.
Well, it's basically these cases of very small toddlers, like 2 years old,
How small are they?
that they say things related to who they are or an imaginary friend that are like way out of what they should know about.
Whoa.
Um,
Do they have like an intense inside knowledge of like haberdashery or something?
well, first of all, there is a program at, where is it? University of Tennessee? Let me look. Called the Division of Perceptual Studies. No, sorry. University of Virginia Medical School, Division of Perceptual Studies, that studies these cases. And they're called cases of reincarnation types, like reincarnation type cases. So there's a bunch of things I think are interesting, but it's crazy that like some kids do this and actually present enough information about them, about this, that they're able to pinpoint like a deceased person
What?
that they're referring to, or that
Jesus.
they have memory of being. And a lot of these kids will say things like, I need to get back to my kids or my husband, or like have these very weird statements that they'll make, and will have like language way beyond their vocabulary that they start using and describing very specific things. So I was rereading the article today, and it's really interesting because they said like 120 families call the Division of Perceptual Studies a year with these stories, and there's not any motive for these parents to be bringing these stories. Like most of them are very resistant, unsettled by this, don't want to be talking about it.
I mean, I'm unsettled and don't want to be talking about it right now.
So it's like, why would, it makes it more believable, I guess. It's not like,
Right, they're not trying to like profit off of it or something.
no, like most of them aren't even very comfortable like engaging and explaining what they've been hearing.
Now, our son is just now acquiring language. He probably says about 25 words. If he becomes one of these freaks, I'm just kidding. I mean, it would be unnerving to have.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, would we put him up for adoption?
Well, I think it's funny that our daughter is so obsessed with Germany.
Oh, yeah, she is.
But it's interesting because it made me wonder about like different levels of memory of past lives. Like the cases that in this article are so detailed and specific, but you would think there's like a spectrum. Like maybe some kids that do have an imaginary friend and say, just a few things about them are also having those memories, but not at the same depth.
Should we do a quick explanation about what we're talking about with our daughter? That she
loves Germany.
I forget what sparked it all. I feel like there was something at a certain point.
Yeah, you're right.
But she did she went all in, like that, I'm German, and then it evolved into space German at a certain point because she very quickly realized she couldn't speak actual German, which is a point towards her not being one of these children. And so she just said that she speaks space German. But Erin and I have found out in a couple awkward social situations that our daughter does just tell random people that like at her school and things that she is German.
She's from Germany.
Our
family's from Germany.
Like I met this mom on the playground and we were talking, and our kids were playing, and we were talking about first words, like what kids' first words were, and she was like, "Was Luca's first words Guten Tag?" And I was like, "Nope." And she was like, "But she was born
she saying
in
it
Germany."
jokingly?
Yeah, that was kind of a joke.
Okay.
But she was alluding to the fact that we're German.
Yeah.
And she was like, she was just born in Germany but raised here. And I was like, nope, not born in Germany at all. And she was like, oh, but you guys? And I was like, nope.
And that's not the first parent that we've had that happen. We met another mom a few months ago that was like, oh, you guys are from Germany? So weird.
I mean, I get it. She's trying to make herself sound like exotic and special. And
she's not someone who lies, and I don't think she's really like, it's not really like that. It's more just like a phase that she's interested in it.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, listen to this story. This is crazy. In Louisiana in 2000, a 2-year-old, James Leniger, would wake up screaming, repeating the same phrase to his baffled and disturbed parents. Airplane crash on fire. Little man can't get out. Over
What?
the following year, a story unspooled, memories and drawings. He was a World War II pilot whose plane took off from a boat, and he died when he was shot down by Japanese forces. James offered names of people and places, and his account would ultimately become one of the most prominent and documented cases of reincarnation type.
Whoa.
And then there's this one about a 5-year-old, Ryan Hammonds, who had memories of living in Hollywood. I think that's this one. And they eventually figured out who he remembered being. Like, is this person Marty something, who was like a...
McFly? Scorsese?
They found the person, and so this family and the kid went and met the granddaughter of that guy who died in the 60s, who this kid remembers being.
What?
And some of the details that the kid remembered, the granddaughter didn't know, and then they researched them and they were true. Like, his death certificate said he died 1 year, and then the kid remembered dying at a different age, and they actually like figured out that the guy did die at that age that this kid was insistent on.
Whoa.
It's crazy.
That's very crazy. First of all, Erin, I feel like we should have done a trigger warning on this episode. I didn't know you were going to be talking about very spooky things.
It's spooky, but I don't know. Reading some of these stories, I'm like, okay, well, it exists.
Right. I guess it must.
It's so bizarre.
Seems like hard evidence.
Yeah.
Now, does it like go away with these kids?
Yes. It almost all, I mean, they said around 5, but it said almost all recollections fade completely by 7 or 8 years old.
Do you think this is some sort of quantum leap scenario where they're trying to get like some unfinished business like reckoned with, or like help solve some sort of crime that ended in their murder? Okay, so my topic today is that I'm going to be explaining the show Quantum Leap to you. It stars Scott Bakula.
But people should read this article. The guy, the Division of Perceptual Studies guy, you know, he goes into these situations looking at like what's the level of evidence in each of these and could it be explained any other way. So there's definitely cases where like the way the parents have questioned or asked their kids things or like investigated it, the kid might be repeating things that, you know, there's like leading questions or they got certain reactions and then they're like saying more about something that maybe they wouldn't have if they had just had like a neutral response from their families. And so some of these probably are not legit, but then he talks about some cases where it's like they did have more of that neutral reaction. And yeah, just the level of detail that these kids share is really crazy.
It's so interesting that it's just children, like that it goes away, that it's not like a forever thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's super spooky.
One family that had a little girl that was like remembering having Holocaust memories was saying that they like, because she was really struggling, she was like sleep disturbances and all that, she hated it, like she wanted it to go away, the memories of it and everything. Jesus. And so they just like said they just like loved her through it and supported her, and then eventually the memories went away.
Wow.
And they tried to just be very neutral about it. They didn't like shut her down if she wanted to talk about it, and they didn't ask questions or like encourage her to talk about it. I feel like that's what would make sense to handle it.
I mean, that's how I handle most touchy subjects with our daughter. If she wants to talk about it, I'm down, and
yeah,
but I'm not going to bring up, I mean, things that are necessarily appropriate for her. Yeah, very, very interesting, very creepy.
Thanks.
Sorry, I know these are kids. I shouldn't be using the word creepy. I would be very loving and supportive if our...
Yeah, I mean, it's sad to think about kids going through that and so confusing. And maybe all of this is fake. I just think it's weird.
I mean, for the sake of the kids, I hope it's fake. Like,
Yeah,
I can't
or-
imagine being one of those children that's like,
There's another reason it's happening. Like,
oh, I'm a 3-year-old learning how to use the potty, and also I'm a German fighter pilot, like
Mhm.
trapped in a burning plane. Like, it's a lot to handle.
but maybe there's like something, yeah. It's just interesting, like scientifically, if there could be some other explanation with brain development and some weird thing happening that
Feels
seems
like-
like a recollection. But
Some sort of glitch in the matrix.
Yeah.
Somebody crossed a wire back there.
that's my topic.
Wow. Well, now I know about.
Now I want to watch some documentaries about it. You know,
Sure.
go deep.
What are the names of those kids? What's the name of this? It's just called
They're cases of reincarnation type. Court.
Reincarnation type.
CORT. But the place that studies it is the Division of Perceptual Studies at the University of Virginia.
All right.
I think it's interesting. There's a whole department studying it.
Right, that there's enough cases that like it's somebody's job.
Mm-hmm. And there's more cases in like indigenous communities and in
Whoa.
communities where they believe in reincarnation.
Oh.
So there makes sense. There would be an openness that if you heard those things, you
Would be like,
see-
oh, that's just a past life.
I could see in the US there being kids that are having these experiences and they're ignored or people don't want to explore them, so they're not looking into them. But if there's like belief in reincarnation, that they would, yeah, it'd be more open.
Well, all right. Well, do you want me to talk to you about my topic?
Yes.
Okay.
We have Fernet
No, I wish. I love Fernet.
because I'm drinking this vintage cola, Olipop, and it's fun with Fernet.
This is an ad for Olipop. Please go to olipop.com, put in hashtag IDKWYTA. So, Erin, I know that this show is called I Don't Know What You're Talking About, and I know I've already done a couple topics where you have some knowledge of them, and tonight will be no different. Erin, are you familiar with the film, the 1993 action thriller drama, The Fugitive?
Yes, of course.
Yes, listeners should know this is one of Erin's favorite movies. It's right in the vein of one of her favorite genres, which is prisoner transport.
Yeah, really any transport thrillers.
Oh yeah, we widened it to transport because it's like Con Air, Air Force One,
Speed.
Speeds, classic.
There's others too. I just have to think. But I think there was like a common thread that it was like transport thrillers.
Yeah, planes, trains, and automobiles.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my topic tonight. So I'm going to lead you down a journey that I went down when I was researching this topic.
I just want to say that part of the reason that Fugitive is high on my list is because of my connections to it, like growing up. That I watched it a lot at one of my grandparents' houses.
Oh yeah, wasn't it like one
It
of
was like the only
three?
VHS they had,
Yeah.
and so I just have a lot of. I mean, I didn't watch it like super young, but probably kind of young for that movie. But I have associations with it and watched it a lot.
Well, it came out in 1993, so it probably didn't hit VHS till like 1994, at least. And then
So
you
I was
were
8.
probably like, yeah. What were the other VHSs that were available to you at that grandparents' house?
I don't really remember, but I know one grandparent's house had Poltergeist on Beta.
Beta? Oh my gosh, I remember Betamax. I feel
Yeah.
like you're too young to remember Betamax.
Well, it wasn't like the current technology. It was like my grandparents had them super
Oh,
old.
they had like an archaic thing.
Yeah. And they had, for some reason, Poltergeist. They had like a cabinet of, what were they called? Betamax
Tapes.
tapes.
Yeah.
Um,
Betas.
betas. And a lot of random, just like recordings of SNL episodes and some random old movies and Poltergeist. And so I watched that a ton as a kid on Betamax.
How old were you when you watched Poltergeist?
Pretty young, but I do remember they also had tons of Saturday Night Live clips with Land Shark.
Man, I feel like I could do the same thing I'm about to do with The Fugitive with the Poltergeist. Because do you know about we've gone deep on the
Yeah, that's creepy.
the crazy stuff behind that movie.
Yeah.
Let's save it for another episode. Maybe we'll do a one-off episode where we just talk about things that we both know. But yeah, a lot of crazy things with that movie. So, the journey I went on is I'm going to give you some trivia, fun facts about the filming of The Fugitive, and just facts about the movie. And then we're gonna go down a completely separate rabbit hole that this led me down.
Okay.
So first up, one thing that I discovered tonight is that Harrison Ford was not the first choice for Dr. Richard Kimball in this film. It was and for anybody who hasn't seen The Fugitive, please pause right now, go watch all 2 hours and 11 minutes of The Fugitive. It's wonderful. It was nominated for Best Picture.
It's a sweet story.
It's so great. Yeah, it was nominated for Best Picture. I think it won Best Supporting Actor.
I mean, it's a disturbing movie, too.
Is it? I mean, yes. Oh, sorry. The brutal murder, yes, is disturbing. I'm just saying, yeah. Warning if you don't feel like watching a movie with a murder in it. Also warning, I will be discussing some murdery things in my segment. So yeah, Harrison Ford was not the first choice. It was Alec Baldwin was supposed to play him, which would have been a young Alec Baldwin in 1993. Mm-hmm. But I feel like a very different movie. Yeah, really different. Okay, so I'm going to walk you... He might have accidentally shot someone. Wow, Aaron, too soon. He just got off of that charge. So I'm going to walk you through different facts about the filming of this movie and stuff, and then we're going to take a little departure. So first of all, Harrison Ford damaged some ligaments in his leg during filming, and so that limp that he walks with in certain scenes is real. He refused to get treatment of it because he felt like it added to the character. There's certain scenes where you can see him limping when he's running. What a method actor. Yeah, there's a few methody things coming up. Also, do you remember that scene where they're running through the St. Patty's Day parade where Tommy Lee Jones is chasing him? Yeah. That was completely not scripted. They realized while they were filming that the St. Patty's Day parade was happening in a couple days, so they got permission to just go in with a steady cam. Like there was no other cameras. They just had a couple people in the audience with cameras, and that was all completely improvised between Tommy Lee Jones and Harrison Ford, which I've read a lot of things. So much stuff was kind of improvised and redone on the spot. And this script was completely rewritten so many times. The script was not finished when they started filming it. So it was really they filmed it fast. The script wasn't done. Crazy. It's very crazy that I feel like it's a very well put together movie. Mm-hmm. So you remember probably one of your favorite scenes where that train crashes into the prisoner bus? Yeah. So first up, that's one of my favorite scenes. We'll see. Well, it involves the prisoner transport. You're right. Yes. Well, okay, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Please describe your favorite scenes from The Fugitive. I mean, I think what I love about movies like that is when someone helps solve the case. So I think my favorite scenes are related to him uncovering what happened and pointing the police to that, and it's all the detective work. Yeah, this is why I love you. Is I'm the same. Thinking about him looking up the one-armed man registry in the hospital, finding that photo at his apartment. Oh yeah. Going to the convention. Also, if you want to, after this segment, there's another area I can go into about plot in The Fugitive where... Oh, yeah, I like plot loopholes. Okay, yeah. But it might sully your favorite movie. No, it will just make it richer. Okay. Richard. Dr. Richard Kimball. So they crashed the train into that bus, the prisoner transport bus. That was a real train. They didn't do it with miniatures. It was a real crash into a real bus
What?
in North Carolina because in researching this, they realized that to buy a train in North Carolina is only 20 grand. And so they just bought a train because that was less than the budget for making miniatures and like crashing the miniature trains and like filming all that. So they were like, let's just buy a real fucking train and crash it into a bus.
Oh, that's crazy.
But that meant that they only had one take because they could not do it again because they didn't have the budget.
Oh my God.
So they crashed that train. Also, that train, the engine survived all that. It still works and everything, and the bus. Now I'm planning a 20-year anniversary trip for you and I to North Carolina because,
Is there a museum?
well, more than that, you can go on that train where it pulls a dinner car around North Carolina and an entire car that has the remnants of the bus from the Fugitive. It's like a Fugitive themed
Train museum?
dinner train.
What? Wait, it's the train. Didn't the train crash?
It did, but it survived. They didn't wreck it. It just
Oh.
like crashed through the bus and was fine.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
What? That's wild. Okay, let's go.
So yeah, they crashed into the train in the train scene. They stunt doubles and the insurance company. It worked exactly like they thought it was going to work because, like I said, they only had one take.
You're brilliant.
Yeah. Also, this was in Dillsboro, North Carolina, which really cracks me up. I feel like Dillsboro is like something you would say to somebody when you're trying to insult them. Like, oh, why'd you just get off the bus from Dillsboro or Oregon? Yeah. So you can see the wrecked train bus and in Dillsboro, North Carolina. Oh, this was crazy. And in one version of the script, do you remember Julianne Moore is like a doctor in the hospital for like 2 scenes?
Yeah, she's helping that kid. And then Dr. Kimball like saves that kid's life by telling
Right.
someone where to send him because he realizes what they think's going on with him isn't right.
Right, which he didn't need to. He was on the run. It's just like he's such a good doctor. Like
He can't even turn it off.
he's so fucking Hippocratic that he's like, oh, I have to.
Hippocratic.
There was an entire version of the script where Julianne Moore and him like kind of fall in love and like there was sex scenes and stuff.
What?
Yeah, very different movie, right?
That's so weird.
Yeah, the director and people decided not to go down that route because it didn't seem believable with the story that he's so in love with his wife and like
Yeah.
had lost her so recently, and then it's like,
It's kind of distracting too from the
yeah, it feels like a very different movie.
Yeah.
But one of the main reasons she was credited as one of the main stars of the picture is she was supposed to be in so many more scenes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, Tommy Lee Jones said famously, he told a reporter, it's not like anyone is going to win any awards for this film. Like I after reading all these, I really got the impression that Tommy Lee Jones is hard to work with.
Mm-hmm.
He sounds like a dick. And he also like rewrote a lot of his scenes because he didn't like them.
And he's been like the same age for like 30 years.
Oh, yeah. Also, he's weirdly mirroring my dad in all periods of his life. Like
Yeah, they look alike.
They look alike a lot. Very similar beard structures.
Mm-hmm. That's what Jenny calls your dad. Our friend Jenny calls.
Tommy Lee Jones?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he famously said he's not like anyone's going to win any awards for this film. However, the movie was eventually nominated for 7 Academy Awards, 3 Golden Globes, with Jones himself ironically winning both the Academy Award and Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Supporting Role. Harrison Ford was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Actor, but lost to Tom Hanks for his performance in Philadelphia.
Wasn't the year for it. It makes sense, though, that if you think you're not going to win, that's what you'll...
Right, if you put that energy out there that like...
Exactly.
It's like when you bring a rain jacket and then it doesn't rain.
Exactly.
Yeah. Say no more. This was a fun one. That you remember the scene where in the beginning where Harrison Ford is arrested for the murder of his wife, and there's. Do you know about the movie?
I remember that scene. Mm-hmm.
And there's 2 cops questioning him.
Yeah.
It's kind of a famous where he's like, "There was a man in my house."
Yeah.
when I came home, he had one arm. That scene was improvised. He had no idea what questions the officers were going to ask him.
It makes it so much more real.
Yeah.
He really got interrogated.
Yeah. Also, through researching this, like, Harrison Ford is like the realist, like, in this film. And I also feel like this might be my favorite Harrison Ford vehicle. I feel like, yes, I like Star Wars, Han Solo. Yes, I like Indiana Jones. But I feel like those personalities feel similar to what I envision Harrison Ford as actually being like. It's kind of a smugly, I'm good at things sort of dude.
Smugly?
Yeah. And I feel like I don't get that from his Dr. Richard Kimball.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't think of him as Harrison Ford in the film. I think of him as just Dr. Richard Kimball, as opposed to, Star Wars and
feels like Harrison
Indiana
Ford.
Jones. I'm like, oh, it's Harrison Ford.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Even Witness,
Mm-hmm.
I still get that a little bit like Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, Han Solo thing.
Mm-hmm.
The whole film was shot in 73 days, which apparently is very quick.
Seems quick.
Yeah.
These are crazy. I had no idea there was so much
Yeah.
behind the curtain.
His apartment was modeled after a real doctor that he met in a bar right before they started filming. And Harrison Ford just bought this random doctor a drink, and then they hit it off and asked if they could model the apartment in the film after the doctor's apartment that they met in a bar.
That's ridiculous.
It's very ridiculous.
So it really embodies that doctor apartment feel.
I knew when I saw that. I was like, that fucking
Is that a
doctor
real doctor's apartment?
lives here. I feel like there's a lot of other fun things here, but I want to move on to a certain fact that I came across. So on IMDb, with like the fun trivia facts about this film, probably like 45 facts down, it's like the real Dr. Kimball, Dr. Sam Shepard, actually lost his medical license and became a professional wrestler using the mandible claw as a finisher. And I was like,
what?
Yeah, I was like, hold up.
So many questions.
Yes. Like, we're burying the lead here. Like, so I did a little Google for Dr. Sam Shepard,
Mm-hmm.
The Fugitive, and it brought me to this wiki that has educated me that The Fugitive, did you know that The Fugitive was a show back in the 60s?
No.
Yeah, so the movie is based on a show very similar about a doctor who was accused of murdering his wife and got convicted and escapes from prison or whatever, and is basically trying to vindicate himself.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all based off a real dude, and the story is nuts.
Tell me the story.
All right. Dr. Sam Holmes Shepard, born in 1923. He was an osteopath. In 1954, he was convicted of the murder of his pregnant wife, Marilyn Reese Shepard. But the conviction was eventually overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court in 1966. So this is where these are real things, and it's kind of gnarly. On the night of Saturday, July 3rd, 1954, Shepard and Marilyn were entertaining neighbors at their lakefront home while they were watching the movie Strange Holiday, which I don't know if you need to know like what movie they were watching, but Shepard supposedly fell asleep on the daybed in the living room, and Marilyn walked the neighbors out. In the early morning hours of the next day, Marilyn Shepard was bludgeoned to death in her bed with an unknown instrument. The bedroom was covered with blood splatter, and drops of blood were found on the floors throughout the house. Some items from the house were missing, like a wristwatch, keychain, ring, keychain and key.
It makes more sense.
Fraternity ring, and all these things that had been stolen, but they were later found in a canvas bag in the shrubbery behind the house. According to Shepard, he was sleeping soundly in the daybed when he heard the cries from his wife. He ran upstairs where he saw a white biped form, which, does that mean just somebody that walks on 2 feet?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't a wolf or something?
Yeah.
In the bedroom, and then was knocked unconscious. When he awoke, he saw the person downstairs, chased the intruder out of the house down to the beach where they tussled, and Shepard was knocked unconscious again. A neighbor received an urgent call from Shepard at 5:40 a.m. saying he needed help. Shepard was found shirtless and his pants were wet with a bloodstain on the knee. Authorities arrived after. The family dog was not heard barking to indicate an intruder, and their 7-year-old son, Sam Reese, aka Chip, was asleep in the adjacent bedroom throughout the incident. So he goes to trial. He gets convicted.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to prison.
Are you trying to make this podcast into My Favorite Murder?
Yes, welcome to My Favorite Murder. So throughout multiple times in this Wikipedia, I was like, okay, that was nuts, but I get it now. But then it would just kept getting crazier. Shortly after his conviction, the incarcerated Shepard was told that his mother, Ethel Shepard, had died from a self-inflicted gunshot. 11 days later, Shepard's father, Richard Shepard, died of a gastric ulcer and stomach cancer.
Wow.
He was permitted to attend both funerals while wearing handcuffs. Also, in 1963, Shepard's former father-in-law, Thomas Reese, died by a suicide in Cleveland, Ohio. So then he goes to appeal the process, and he does get an appeal through. He served 10 years for his sentence, and then 3. So it got tossed out because there was some problem with, there was this media circus that happened with the first trial, and there was so much pressure to put him behind bars, and that it kind of just happened.
Yeah.
So in 1964, he gets released. He marries Erin and Garrett, which I am pronouncing that correctly, a German divorcee who had corresponded with him during his imprisonment. The two had been engaged since 1963. Teben Johans endured her own bout of controversy shortly after the engagement had been announced, confirming that her half-sister, Maja Richel, the wife of Nazi propaganda chief Joseph Goebbels,
Oh my God,
which he was, big in World War II. Teben Johans emphasized that she held no Nazi views. But then they divorced 5 years later. Then there was a retrial, taking him back, and charging him again, and it didn't go through. He got a not guilty verdict. So after all that,
did they ever figure out who did it?
So this is coming up. Like I said, through multiple times this article, I was like, okay, then that's done with. But then I was like, but wait a minute, what about his wrestling career?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Shepard's friend and soon-to-be father-in-law, professional wrestler George Strickland, introduced him to wrestling and trained him for it. He debuted in August 1969 at the age of 45 as, quote, Killer Sam Shepard, wrestling Wild Bill Scholl. Shepard wrestled over 40 matches before his death in April 1970. So that's 1 year of wrestling, and then he dies at 46.
Did he die from wrestling?
No. His notoriety made him a strong draw to the wrestling ring. During his wrestling career, Dr. Shepard used his anatomical knowledge to develop a new submission hold that he called the, quote, mandibular nerve pinch. The maneuver would later go on to be renamed the mandible claw and utilized its popularity by a professional wrestler, Mankind, in 1996.
So weird.
It's so weird. So here, I know I'm going long reading this article, so I'll just kind of paraphrase the rest of it. He was a crazy alcoholic. He drank himself to death. It was reported that he was drinking 2/5 of hard alcohol per day, and that's why he died in 1970. Mm-hmm. But then his son was so upset about all this wrongful conviction stuff that they had the bodies exhumed and then had DNA evidence done in the 90s of both him, the doctor, and his wife and the pregnant fetus to see if the baby was his or not, because apparently she had been having an affair or reported an affair, and also he had had an affair, which prosecutors use the fact that he had an affair to try to say that that was his motive for killing his wife, because maybe she found out about the mistress or something like that.
What did they figure out?
Well, nothing concrete, but there is this dude named Richard Eberling. So during the civil trial, Terry, the attorney, said that Richard Eberling was an occasional handyman and window washer at the Shepherd home, was the likely suspect in Marilyn's murder. Eberling,
Is the baby his?
so the DNA evidence was not conclusive. We can't tell if it was his or not. Eberling found Marilyn attractive, and he was very familiar with the layout of the Shepherd home. Detectives were questioning Eberling about various burglaries in the area. Eberling confessed to the burglaries and showed the detective his loot, which included 2 rings that belonged to Marilyn Shepherd. Eberling stole the rings in 1958, a few years after the murder, from Sam Shepherd's brother, though. So, kind of a dead end there. He stated that he cut his finger while washing the windows just prior to the murder and bled while on the premises, which DNA evidence did show that there was a 3rd blood type at the crime scene.
That's weird.
Yeah. So he was like, oh, I cut my finger window washing. But then he passed a polygraph. But then they had like another person come in and say that polygraph wasn't really legit. Eberling, this dude did confess to had said to a couple of people that he did murder her, but it was all like kind of hearsay sort of things.
It's weird.
Yeah. Anyway, crazy case. Had no idea that The Fugitive was loosely based on a true story.
Yeah, I didn't either. The mandible claw makes me think of the one-armed man.
Oh, you're right.
That's what I thought. There was some connection at first.
Also, good job, makers of The Fugitive, for not including Dr. Richard Kimball's pro wrestling career after he was exonerated.
It's like 20 years later.
Just like the last 5 minutes of the film where show him wrestling and be like, yeah, I'm happy. As he's drinking himself to death and dies within a year.
God.
Nuts.
Good topic.
Thanks.
Now I know what you're talking about.
And now you know.
And now I know. And now we know.
Well, that was fun, Erin. I look forward to next week and learning something new.
Me too. All right. Good night.
Good night. Love you.
Love you.
Have you ever transcended space and time?
Yes. No. Time, not space. No, I don't know what you're talking about.